Do you ever feel some days are just kind of like a washing machine? One climbs in one end of the day, spins around for 12 hours, and then comes out the other end of the day not knowing what has happened. Where's the time gone? If so, then I'm hoping this is a story that you will appreciate. If you're new to our channel, then we would like to have you on board with our channel as we investigate in the footsteps of Padre Pio. Gino Lattila was an extremely popular singer in Italy in the mid-50s, and he was perhaps practically the entertainer of the day. Anyway, Gino's good friend Luciano Rispoli was getting married. And Luciano's whole family, it turns out, were firm devotees of Padre Pio. Guess where Luciano was getting married? And by who? That's right, of course it was San Giovanni Rotondo, Padre Pio's church, and by Padre Pio himself. Of course, Gino had received a very good education as in the Jesuit schools, and he was a firm skeptic, however, of any medieval mysticism. So he completely rejected these ideas of Padre Pio. He would laugh at the tales of bilocation and of reading of souls and aroma and perfume and things like this. He wanted nothing to do with that. Gino was not enthusiastic, we may say, about visiting San Giovanni Rotondo. But now he's in San Giovanni Rotondo. And the next morning, and out of curiosity, he woke up early and he decided to go to Padre Pio's Mass. And what impressed him or surprised him was that at 5 a.m. the church was packed. And of course, it was a rather long service. Immediately after Mass, the wedding party went into the sacristy hoping to receive Padre Pio's blessing. And there Gino saw Padre Pio. He was kneeling on a kneeler, and as was his custom, he was giving his thanksgiving after Mass. And Padre Pio just carried on praying. Everyone had to wait, and they waited patiently. However, Gino started to get impatient, and then he started to think, well, how long is Padre Pio going to take? And wouldn't God be more pleased if Padre Pio devoted some of his time and greeted the people around here? Then a child who was being held by one of his parents kind of broke free, and he ran over to Padre Pio, and he innocently started distracting Padre Pio. Well, little did he know, Padre Pio takes his thanksgiving very seriously. And he turned abruptly and said, in a loud voice, "Leave me in peace." Gino at this was completely scandalized. And he had heard that Padre Pio could be, gruff, but he didn't think it would be with children. So Gino just headed out of the sacristy. He wanted nothing to do with this. He wanted none of this, and Gino thereafter spent the rest of the day just arguing with people against Padre Pio. Anyway, Luciano's uncle, he tried to calmly explain to Gino that Padre Pio knows when it is expedient to meet people. And sometimes they also have need to reflect on their own lives before they meet Padre Pio. And then the uncle said, if Padre wished, he could even arrange to meet you tomorrow. And somehow these last words, they just struck Gino. And they stuck in his mind. And anyway, he told himself now he had no desire to meet Padre Pio. And he went and spent an uneasy night trying to sleep. The next morning he was up very early preparing for the wedding. And he drove Luciano to the church. And Luciano had now received a camera as a gift from someone, and he didn't know how it worked, so he asked Gino, who was an expert in this, please to film the whole ceremony. And of course Gino said, sure, I'd be very happy to. And he'll do this, definitely. They arrived there at the church. Gino went inside to the church to find the best location for filming, and he looked all around, and he came to the conclusion that upstairs, the organ loft area was the best view of the church. Gino looked around, and how does he get up there? And he saw two doors under the balcony on which, the organ was on top. So he went in through the one door, and there were stairs leading upstairs, so he followed the stairs upstairs. It gets a bit strange here. He found himself in a corridor, and he came to a door. Gino opened the door, and there he found himself looking right at Padre Pio. And the ominous phrase from yesterday came back to mind. If he wants to, he can meet you tomorrow. And Padre Pio was seated, and there was a strong odor in the room, resembling kind of a hospital smell. Now, in Padre Pio lore terminology, this smell signified physical and moral sufferings. So perhaps that was a prediction for Gino's future, who knows? But Padre Pio saw Gino in the door and glared at him intently. He stared at Gino intently, and it was not a look of rebuke, but it was hard and severe and a very penetrating look. And Gino felt that Padre Pio was examining him right into the marrows of his bones, so to speak. Gino was somewhat fearful, but at the same time he was completely captivated and drawn in. He was suffering, yet he was simultaneously happy. And he does not know for how long the friar fixed his gaze on him. Perhaps it was just a few seconds, or perhaps it was an hour. He couldn't say. Finally, with a strong voice, Padre Pio asked, "Well, what are you doing here?" Gino responded, "Looking for the organ." "And here is where you're going to look to find the organ?" Padre Pio said, "Get out, get out." So Gino left the room. But he felt like his face was aflame, so intense had the experience been. And he continued looking for the organ. And he climbed up some more stairs and down some more stairs. And he continued looking. Now he's starting to get worried. Perhaps the spouses would be entering the church. But then, of course, the thought occurred to him, well, he's just seen Padre Pio. They cannot go ahead with the service without Padre Pio. So no worries, no problem. And as he was looking, then he opened another door. And once again, a second time, he came face to face with Padre Pio. Padre Pio said, "You again, but what do you want with me?" This time Padre Pio was smiling. And Gino excused himself again and left. But this time he found himself very calm. And at least the ceremony could not have begun because there was Padre Pio. Gino resumed his search for the organ. He descended some more stairs, but he ended up in another hallway and another door. And he opened this third door, and once again he was face to face with Padre Pio. This is for a third time. And this time they were in the company of a group of children who recognized him as Gino Lattila, the singer on the radio. Padre Pio said, "Ah, yes, Rai, or Italian radio," and he approached Gino, again looking at him straight in the eyes with the same intent gaze of the first encounter. And he tapped Gino 3 times on the head, kind of almost wake up, Gino. And then with great tenderness, Padre Pio said, "Go, and don't ever do anything bad, and never be afraid of anyone." And at this, Gino's head cleared. And he remembered about the filming, and he excused himself and said, "Sorry, I have to get out of here." And he walked out of the corridor and, found another corridor, and then he found himself in the church. But to his surprise, there was no one else in the church. And he thought, well, the ceremony certainly can't be over, because this whole incident had taken him, maybe 5 or 6 minutes. And a nuptial mass needs a good hour, at least an hour. Besides, he had been seeing Padre Pio all this time. There's no way as the service, it could not have happened without Padre Pio. So where is everyone? That was the question to him. Gino went outside, and there he was reprimanded by a friend. "Where did you go off to? We've been looking for you." And the bride and groom, they could no longer wait. They had to go. They had to get a lift with someone else. So Gino said, "Well, what about the wedding?" This person answered, "It's been over for some time now." And who was the celebrant? Well, it's Padre Pio. And after that, Gino became a firm devotee of Padre Pio.
In nome del Padre, del Figliolo e dello Spirito Santo, e così sia. Sia lodato Gesù e Maria, oggi e
If you're new to our channel, then please feel free to join our channel. We'd like to have you on board to be following as we investigate in the footsteps of Padre Pio. In order to do that, you have to go to the subscribe link just below. Click on the subscribe link. You'll join our channel then, and a bell will pop up. You click the bell and you'll receive reminders of future videos. Also, what we would really appreciate is if you would click the like button, that is the thumbs up. Finally, you're welcome to join this Friday's Mass intentions. That is for the protected children of Padre Pio, and all you have to do for that is go to the words show more directly below here, click on that, and there's a description exactly how to register. Today's talk was taken from this book, which is Amazing Miracles of Padre Pio, and that's by Frank Reger. And Frank Reger, he was a third order Franciscan, the author of many books and articles on Catholic saints and mystics. So he's quite knowledgeable in this subject, and certainly very reputable as well.